Madam President. And what a joy it is to say those words, Madam President. One of the things that Mr. O'Neill admitted when he rightly talked about, oppression in this university and elsewhere hundreds of years ago was that it was a long time before women were admitted to this university. And that's, and the idea that women should be educated was heresy once. And so it's a particular delight to be thanking an outgoing woman president of the Oxford Union, and to be back here and to actually be able to speak with another woman in the debate. So I would say to you, my friend Kate, that you said earlier that the white men should move over and perhaps even, I think you said, shut up. And all I can say is, your wish is our command, because it's my turn now. And we're having this debate about free speech a few days before International Women's Day. And we're having this debate about free speech in a week where the government of India has banned a film called India's Daughter, which is a documentary about the hideous Delhi gang rape. And my understanding from the reporting is that the government of India, which is the country that my parents came from in the late 1950s, has banned that film on the grounds that it offends the honour of India, and it is a defamation on that state. So we must be incredibly careful when we're negotiating this difficult territory. Now, this has been a heated and at times quite emotional debate, and no worse for it, in my view, because this stuff is incredibly important. And many of you are undergraduates and students, but that doesn't deny the importance of the signals that are sent from this very old and important debating chamber, and one should remember that. And so I'm going to be a bit of a pedant and a lawyer, because I might be the director of liberty and the most dangerous woman in Britain, as the Sun once called me. By the way, that's the gift that keeps on giving. And I'm not going to tell you about all the nasty things people have said about me on the internet, because this is not a competition for victimhood. I think victimhood is a terrible thing. It turns people into paedophiles and jihadis and columnists on certain newspapers. So we'll forget my notoriety and all of that. The one thing I will say is, if you are a human rights campaigner, if you ever want my job, you've got to remember that you've got to sometimes defend what can appear to be the indefensible. Now, normally for me, it is not Brendan O'Neill. Normally, it's Abu Qatada. Right, this is the joy of tonight, is I don't have to talk about Abu Qatada. The French say, by the way, we're going to come to the French in a moment, the French say that a meal without wine is like a day without sunshine. For me, yeah, thank you. Monsieur, merci. But for me, it's a debate without mention of Abu Qatada, so I've just done it for you. But I'm not going to do the liberty bit for a moment. I'm going to return to my original profession, which was I was a lawyer. And when I was a lawyer, I believed that you go back to the actual text of the motion. So this House believes, I want you to support this. This House believes that the right to free speech always includes the right to offend. This union must support that motion. The right to free speech always includes the right to offend. But forgive me, Brendan, a right is not a duty. Okay? Right? Now, I believe I should be able to stand here and swear and, do all of that stuff and be very rude and stomp about and talk about my victimhood. And I don't think I should be lynched for it, and I don't think I should be arrested or prosecuted for it. I just won't expect to be invited back, and I won't expect to persuade you to vote for the motion. So that would be a bit silly, wouldn't it? And one of the dangers of the increasingly authoritarian state in which I have practiced human rights in my adult life is that ASBOs, CRASBOs, public order offences have have created such an authoritarian climate that we've forgotten, some of us, the art of kindness and politeness and sensitivity and advocacy and so on. And I don't denigrate the other. Not because I don't have the right to, but because it would make me a pretty unethical person and a not very pleasant human being and chamois no mates. Now, not so long ago, people were rightly showing solidarity with people who suffered the atrocity in Paris. Right? And we were all, nous sommes Charlie at that point. And the same politicians, the same British politicians who were je suis Charlie, have now passed a law that would allow them effectively to censor university campuses. The same politicians who said je suis Charlie are saying that the Home Secretary should be able to issue directions to university campuses, including yours, my friends, including yours, to say what de-radicalisation looks like. And no doubt they are offended by all sorts of things that I think they should not be offended by. And while we're on the subject of that great country that is France and that great city that is Paris and our great friend over there, I believe that freedom of speech must include the right to satire and the right to cartoons, even if they offend some people, but it extends to the right to wear the hijab when you take your university exams as well. Please.
If the publication of those cartoons leads to women who want to take their exams in hijab being subject to violent attack, and would you still defend that?
Kate, the problem, and the reason why I raise that point, is that in France you're not allowed, the state doesn't allow you to wear the burqa or to wear the hijab when you take your exams. This is because it offends the French identity of the state. I must finish, forgive me. The bottom line is everybody loves human rights, including free speech. They love their own. It's other people's that are a bit more of a problem. This motion doesn't say the right to incite violence, it says the right to offend. And I'm sure I've offended all sorts of people, including my teammates here tonight. This stuff was paid for, this freedom of speech and these human rights were paid for by generations long ago, and they were paid for in courage and in blood. They weren't designed to make us comfortable. They were designed to keep us free. Thanks for listening.